Normal tanker was hiding a cartel vault. Millions seized.
6:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the United States. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the U.S. Navy, and the Drug Enforcement Administration executed the sixth and largest coordinated maritime interdiction operation since the capture of Venezuelan dictator Nicolás Maduro 3 months ago. The target, a modified oil supertanker named Veronica, registered under a Panamanian shell corporation, cruising 73 nautical miles northeast of Puerto Rico in international waters of the Caribbean Sea. What federal agents discovered inside that vessel was not crude oil. It was one of the most sophisticated narcotics smuggling operations ever uncovered on the open ocean. Over 42 tons of cocaine, 14 tons of processed heroin, 1 million fentanyl pills manufactured in clandestine labs across Caracas and Maracaibo, and more than 680 million in U.S. currency stored in waterproof steel containers welded beneath the ship's fuel tanks. But this seizure is not just about drugs and money. This operation exposed a shadow network that connects the remnants of the Maduro cartel to corrupt officials inside the Venezuelan military, rogue elements of Colombia's CJNG cartel, and a U.S.-based logistics coordinator operating from Miami, Florida, a man named Governor Esteban Ruiz, a fictional high-ranking official who once served as Venezuela's Minister of Energy before fleeing to the United States under a false asylum claim in 2021. The man who designed the infrastructure, the man who turned oil tankers into floating drug fortresses, the man who made the Caribbean his personal narcotics highway, and the man federal agents have been hunting for 9 months. If you think this is just another drug bust, you are wrong. What you are about to hear is the story of how an entire maritime smuggling empire was built in plain sight using legitimate shipping routes, international oil contracts, and protection from officials on 3 continents. This is not about one tanker, this is about a system. And the next part is worse. It begins at 40:32 a.m., 70 miles off the coast of San Juan, Puerto Rico. The ocean is black, no moon, heavy clouds hanging low over the water like a shroud. The only light comes from the distant glow of cargo ships moving along the eastern shipping lane. The Veronica is drifting. Her engines are running at minimum power. Her transponder signal is clean, showing her as an authorized crude oil transport vessel en route from Trinidad to the port of Miami. But U.S. Coast Guard satellite tracking detected an anomaly 3 days earlier. The ship deviated from her declared route by 18 nautical miles. She stopped for 40 minutes in a coordinates zone known to federal agencies as a high-risk cartel transfer point. Then she resumed course. That was enough. At exactly 40:29 a.m., 2 U.S. Navy destroyers close in from the east and west, cutting off her escape routes. Above, 3 Black Hawk helicopters, equipped with thermal imaging and spotlight arrays, move into position. DEA and IC tactical units are aboard, dressed in black assault gear, rifles ready, waiting for the green light. At 40:32 a.m., the command comes through. Agents fast, rope onto the tanker's deck from all 3 helicopters simultaneously. Flashbangs detonate across the bow and stern, blinding the crew. 12 cartel operatives try to scatter. Some run toward the bridge. Others dive toward cargo hatches, desperately trying to seal access points before agents breach. It does not matter. SWAT teams move like shadows. Doors are smashed. 2 suspects are tackled as they try to throw satellite phones overboard. Another pulls a handgun and fires twice into the air before being disarmed and restrained. Within 7 minutes, the entire vessel is secured. 18 men are tied and lined up on the main deck. 6 of them are Venezuelan national. 4 are Colombian. 3 are Nicaraguan. 2 hold fake Panamanian passports. 3 are U.S. citizens from Miami. Agents descend into the cargo holds. What they see stops them cold. The tanker's interior has been completely redesigned. Massive steel compartments line both sides of the hull, each one packed floor to ceiling with shrink-wrapped bricks of cocaine stamped with the scorpion insignia of the CJNG cartel. Deeper inside, they find barrels labeled as industrial lubricant. When agents crack them open, they find heroin, processed and packaged for distribution across the eastern United States. In a sealed chamber near the engine room, they find 1 million fentanyl pills stored in vacuum-sealed bags, each one marked with a blue skull logo. But the worst discovery is below the fuel tanks. Welded into the ship's keel are 23 reinforced steel containers. Inside the 680 million in U.S. currency, stacks of $100 bills wrapped in plastic, sorted by denomination, logged with serial number ranges on printed ledgers, found inside a hidden safe. And in that safe, agents find something that changes everything. Encrypted hard drives, 3 of them, military, grade encryption, Russian firmware, and a handwritten note in Spanish that reads, "For Governor Ruiz, Phase 7 complete. Awaiting final authorization for Atlantic expansion." This is not a smuggling operation. This is infrastructure. This is planning. This is the backbone of a narcotics empire designed to flood the U.S. East Coast for the next decade. And it is only the beginning. 12 hours later, inside a secure FBI cyber forensics facility in Quantico, Virginia, the encrypted drives are cracked. What analysts see on their screen sends a chill through the entire task force. A network diagram. Codename Operation Maravilla. The Maduro cartel's master plan for post-regime survival. It is not a cartel in the traditional sense anymore. It is a corporation. Shell companies registered in Panama, the Cayman Islands, and the British Virgin Islands. Ghost logistics firms operating under names like Caribbean Energy Solutions, Oceanic Freight Partner, and Pan Atlantic Shipping Group. Fake oil export contracts signed with legitimate refineries. Falsified cargo manifests approved by bribed port inspectors in Trinidad, Curacao, and the Dominican Republic. Money flowing through 15 different offshore accounts, disguised as payments for maritime fuel, vessel maintenance, and environmental compliance fees. Every transaction is clean on paper. Every dollar is accounted for. Every shipment is legal, except none of it is real. At the center of it all is a digital signature, an encrypted authorization key traced back to one man, Espan Ruiz, age 54. Former Venezuelan Minister of Energy under Maduro, fled to Miami in 2021 under a fabricated political asylum claim. U.S. immigration records show he entered the country as a dissident escaping persecution. In reality, he was Maduro's logistics architect, the man who designed Venezuela's state-run oil smuggling system during the sanctions era. And when Maduro fell, Ruiz did not disappear. He adapted. He took the network private. He turned the Caribbean into his personal drug highway. Federal analysts trace his financial fingerprints to every major seizure in the past 9 months. The oil tanker intercepted near the Bahamas in March. The cargo freighter stopped off the coast of Haiti in April. The fishing fleet busted near the Virgin Islands in May. The container ship raided in the port of Charleston in June. The yacht convoy seized near Key West in July. And now, the Veronica. 6 massive busts, all linked to the same network, all funded by the same man, all designed to move narcotics from South America to the United States using the global oil trade as cover. One analyst leans back in his chair and says it out loud. This is not corruption. This is command-level collusion. This is not negligence. This is engineered treason. Ruiz has not just infiltrated the system. He has built a parallel one, a shadow fleet, a ghost navy, a drug empire floating on international waters, invisible to radar, protected by paperwork, and funded by every gram of cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl that makes it to American street. And the worst part, Phase 7 is already complete. Phase 8 is ready to launch. The next target is the Atlantic shipping corridor between West Africa and the port of New York. If they do not stop him now, the network will be untouchable. The operation has just begun. 15 a.m., 2 days later. FBI Tactical Operations Command Center, Miami Field Office. A giant digital map glows on the main screen. Red markers pulse across South Florida, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and the Eastern Caribbean. Each one represents a confirmed Ruiz network location. Safe houses in Little Havana and Coral Gables. Warehouses in Hialeah and Opa, Laka. A luxury penthouse in Brickell overlooking Biscayne Bay. A private marina in Key Largo where 2 yachts registered under Shell companies are docked. Offshore, 3 more oil tankers are flagged as high-probability cartel vessels. On the islands, agents have identified cartel-run logistics hubs in San Juan, Santo Domingo, and Bridgetown. Over 1,200 federal agents are mobilized. DA strike teams, IC tactical units, FBI SWAT divisions, U.S. Marshals, ATF explosive specialists. The U.S. Navy has positioned 2 destroyers and a guided missile cruiser off the coast of Puerto Rico. Coast Guard cutters are patrolling intercept zones near the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. Black Hawk helicopters are fueled and ready at Homestead Air Reserve Base. F-15 fighter jets are on standby at Naval Air Station Key West for aerial surveillance and rapid response. At exactly 6:47 a.m., the order is given. Go! In Miami, 6 SWAT teams hit Ruiz's suspected safe houses simultaneously. Doors are smashed. Flashbangs light up living rooms. Agents find encrypted laptops, satellite phones, and luggage packed with $3.4 million in cash. 3 cartel operatives are arrested. One tries to flee through a back window and is tackled in the alley. In Hialeah, agents breach a warehouse registered to a fake logistics company. Inside, 200 kilograms of cocaine, stacked pallets of methamphetamine, and a hidden room filled with vacuum sealers, pill presses, and industrial scales. 4 suspects are cuffed. In Coral Gables, federal agents storm a luxury estate. They find Ruiz's financial architect, a man named Carlos Mendoza, shredding documents in the kitchen. Agents seize his laptop mid-operation. The hard drive is still warm. In Key Largo, Coast Guard units board 2 yachts. Hidden compartments below deck contain 14 duffel bags of heroin and a steel case filled with diamonds and gold bars worth over 12 million. Offshore, the U.S. Navy intercepts 2 oil tankers flagged as part of the Ruiz network. Both vessels are boarded. Agents find modified cargo holds packed with narcotics. Combined seizure 31 tons of cocaine, 6 tons of heroin, and 1.8 million fentanyl pills. In Puerto Rico, ICE and DEA teams raid a shipping warehouse near the port of San Juan. They find falsified cargo manifests, bribed customs logs, and a server farm running encrypted communication software linked directly to Ruiz's network. 7 employees are arrested. 3 of them are Puerto Rican port officials. By 20:30 p.m., the operation is complete. The numbers are staggering: 73 tons of cocaine seized, 20 tons of heroin, 4.2 million fentanyl pills, over 820 million in cash and assets recovered. 47 suspects arrested across 6 locations, 3 oil tankers, 2 yachts, and 5 warehouses dismantled and buried in the seized servers. Agents find the crown jewel, Ruiz's personal communication archive, encrypted messages, transfer logs, offshore account password, and the location of his command center, a private estate on the island of St. Martin, hidden behind layers of corporate ownership and protected by armed security. The underworld took more damage in 6 hours than in the last 6 years, but the damage goes deeper than drugs and money. As FBI analysts comb through the seized data, they uncover something that shakes the entire task force. Ruiz did not operate alone. He had help. Inside help. Federal investigators find payment records showing over 47 million transferred to U.S.-based officials, law enforcement personnel, and Port Authority employees over the past 3 years. 12 Miami-Dade police officers were on his payroll. 5 IC agents assigned to maritime interdiction received monthly cash deposits into offshore accounts. 2 Coast Guard inspectors falsified cargo reports for Ruiz's tankers in exchange for $200,000 each. A federal judge in Puerto Rico dismissed 3 drug trafficking cases linked to Ruiz operatives after receiving a $1.5 million wire transfer disguised as a real estate investment. And the most devastating betrayal, a senior DA supervisor in the Miami field office leaked raid schedules and surveillance reports directly to Ruiz's network for over 18 months. Internal affairs investigators examine patrol logs, case files, and communication record. They find a pattern. Every time a federal task force planned a raid on a Ruiz location, the target was tipped off hours in advance. Suspects vanished. Evidence was moved. Warehouses were empty. It happened again and again. Agents who risked their lives on the front lines were being sabotaged by their own colleague. One honest DEA agent breaks down during an interview. He says, "We thought we were losing because the cartel was smarter. We did not know we were losing because someone on our side was helping them win." Federal prosecutors move fast. Arrest warrants are issued. The corrupt DEA supervisor is taken into custody at his home in Coral Springs. The Miami police officers are arrested during a coordinated sweep. The Coast Guard inspectors are detained at their duty stations. The judge in Puerto Rico is placed under federal investigation. Charges include conspiracy to distribute narcotics, money laundering, obstruction of justice, and corruption of public officials. This is not just about a drug cartel infiltrating law enforcement. This is about a parallel enforcement system, a second network designed to protect the empire while wearing the badge. And the cost is measured in lives. Every kilogram of cocaine that made it through, every fentanyl pill that reached the streets, every overdose, every family destroyed, that blood is on their hands. The badge will be rebuilt from the ground up. But Ruiz's network does not stop at the Caribbean. As federal investigators analyze the full scope of Operation Maravilla, they realize the oil tanker scheme was only Phase 7. Phases 1 through 6 were already complete. The Maduro cartel had established distribution pipelines across the entire eastern United States. Cocaine and heroin moved from Caribbean tankers to Miami, then north along Interstate 95 through Jacksonville, Savannah, Charleston, and Richmond, hidden inside refrigerated produced trucks registered to fake agricultural companies. Fentanyl pills were smuggled through Puerto Rico and flown to New York and Boston on chartered cargo planes using falsified DA export licenses. Methamphetamine came through the port of Baltimore inside shipping containers labeled as automotive parts. Every route was protected. Every shipment was insured. Every official who could interfere was either bribed or threatened. Federal analysts estimate that Ruiz's network moved over 150 tons of narcotics per year into the United States. That is nearly 3 tons per week. Enough cocaine to supply every major city on the East Coast, enough fentanyl to kill millions. And it all moved without triggering a single federal alert, because the system was designed by someone who understood exactly how federal interdiction worked. Ruiz had spent a decade inside the Venezuelan government studying U.S. sanctions enforcement, learning how cargo inspections were conducted, identifying weaknesses in maritime tracking systems, and mapping blind spots in Coast Guard patrol zones. He did not fight the system, he gamed it. He turned compliance into camouflage. And then investigators find Phase 8, the Atlantic Expansion Protocol, Ruse's final plan. He intended to extend the network across the Atlantic Ocean, using legitimate European oil shipping routes to move South American narcotics into the port of Rotterdam, then redistribute them across Europe and back into North America through Canadian ports. He had already secured shell company partnerships with 3 European logistics firms. He had bribed 2 port inspectors in the Netherlands. He had negotiated protection agreements with Albanian and Moroccan trafficking syndicates. He was 6 months away from launching the largest transatlantic narcotics operation in modern history. The system was not just infiltrated, it was redesigned for a cartel future. On March 14th at 30:22 a.m., a joint U.S. and French special operations team storms a private estate on the French side of St. Martin. The target Esteban Ruiz. The operation is silent. No helicopters. No siren. Delta Force operatives and French GIGM commandos move through the compound under night vision. They breach the main villa. Ruiz is found in a reinforced office, surrounded by encrypted laptops and satellite phones. He does not resist. He is taken into custody without a single shot fired. In his possession, over $12 million in cash, detailed maps of Phase 8, distribution routes, and a handwritten ledger containing the names of every official he ever bribed. It is over. Ruiz is extradited to the United States and arraigned in federal court in Miami. He is charged with conspiracy to distribute narcotics, international money laundering, corruption of public officials, and operating a continuing criminal enterprise. If convicted, he faces life in prison without parole. Federal prosecutors call it the most significant dismantling of a maritime drug trafficking network in U.S. history. But the damage is already done. The fentanyl is already on the streets. The heroin is already in the veins. The cocaine is already destroying communities from Miami to Boston. And every dollar Ruiz made was built on the bodies of American overdose victims. This story is not just about one man. It is about what happens when power, greed, and ambition intersect with a system designed to trust its own officials. It is about how corruption does not always announce itself with violence. Sometimes it hides behind oil contracts and shipping manifests. Sometimes it wears a badge. Sometimes it sits in a judge's chair. And sometimes it operates for years in plain sight because no one believes the system itself could be the weapon. The cost is real. Over 100,000 Americans died from drug overdoses last year. Fentanyl is now the leading cause of death for adults under 45. Entire neighborhoods have been hollowed out by heroin and methamphetamine. Families have been shattered. And every gram of poison that reaches our streets is moved by networks like this. Networks built by men like Ruiz. Men who see human suffering as profit margin. If you are still watching, tap like so more people see this story. Comment, expose. If you want this kind of corruption dragged into the light, share this with someone who needs to understand how deep this goes. This is not just news. This is a warning. And it is a reminder that the fight is not over. As long as there is demand, there will be supply. As long as there is money, there will be corruption. And as long as we stay silent, the networks will keep building. This story is a fictional dramatization, but the threat it represents is real. The agencies are real. The drugs are real. The deaths are real. And the only way we stop it is by refusing to look away. Power does not always need violence. Sometimes it just needs silence. And silence is the one thing we can no longer afford.